Welcome. What is up? Thank you for tuning into Jim Rome is Burning. We've got a tremendous Thursday show for you. I am all over last night's epic Rose Bowl game. You'll get my conversation with former Texas great and current San Diego Charger, Quentin Jammer. But first, here is what I am burning on.
Jim Rome is Burning, presented by Tag Body Spray for Men.
Leonard runs away from the pressure. Now he's got to throw it. Throws it high and out of bounds, and the game is over. Texas has defeated Southern California 41-38 to win the national championship of college football.
Not only did last night's Rose Bowl live up to all the hype when nothing ever does, it may have been the greatest college championship game ever played. If BCS honks can't get us a playoff and are going to subject us to about a month of crummy games, at least give us a title game like that one. And while USC may have had 2 Heisman Trophy winners in their backfield and a handful of other All-Americans and guys who will play on Sunday, Vince Young was clearly the best player on the field last night. And forget for a minute how freaky the guy is athletically, and his athleticism is pretty stupid. The thing that really impressed me about Young was his poise. Does this guy even have a pulse? Is he even breathing? He never rattles, and of course he took it in on 4th and 5 for the game winner. It was like the guy was playing flag football in the park and not for the national championship game in front of 100,000 people at the Rose Bowl and another 100 million on TV. The kid is cold-blooded. That was probably the greatest performance by a college quarterback in a big game ever, and that's not hyperbole. As far as his returning for his senior year, forget it, big man. Last night changed everything. You're holding a lottery ticket. Cash it.
4th and 5, the national championship on the line right here. He's going for the corner. He's got it. Vince Young scores.
Taking nothing away from Texas, they were the better team. They made all the plays. They deserved to win. But tell me the USC Trojans, looking at a three-peat, did not blow a 12-point lead with just over 4 minutes to go in their own backyard. USC has to finish that game. And the reason they didn't was because their much-maligned defense finally did come back to bite them in the back. Don't get me wrong, that had as much to do with Vince Young as it did the Trojan D, but they could not get off the field when they had to, and that's the way it's been all season long for USC, with teams ripping off huge chunks of yardage against them. Shoot, Fresno State dropped 42 on them. Is it really any surprise that Vince Young went berserk against them last night? They allowed 18 fourth-quarter points. They couldn't get a single stop or make a single play when they had to. They finally ran into a team that could score with them, and Texas had the ball last, so the Trojans lost. USC did not deserve to win. They should have, but they didn't deserve to.
It was really surreal when you're sitting there in the 4th quarter and you're down by 2 scores and you still think you're going to win. And you're playing a team that's won 34 straight games and you're at their place and momentum's turned and your defense is struggling. But we never, ever really thought we would lose the ball game.
And as I've said before, never confuse can't win the big one with hasn't won the big one. Of course, I'm talking about that guy, Mack Brown. Mack was the guy who couldn't beat Bobby Bowden when he was at North Carolina. He was the guy who couldn't beat Bob Stoops while at UT. The great recruiter and great guy who yipped up when it mattered most and could not win the big one. Of course, now that is all out the window. He won a big game last year when he beat Michigan in the Rose Bowl. He won a big game this year when he beat Ohio State at the Horseshoe, and he just won the biggest game of them all last night. And if he can somehow convince Vince Young to come back for another year, he'll probably win another big game next year. And you have to love that take that he wasn't a great coach yesterday, but he is today. Why? One day later, after winning one more game, from bum to Bear Bryant in 24 hours, I reject that. He was a great coach yesterday before that game was even played. Now he's a great coach and a national champion. And the one thing that nobody has ever questioned, a class act.
Lendell White's in there. He's the power back. He didn't get it. That official right there is marking the ball. And he's marking it short of the first down. Texas football.
And anyone rapping USC coach Pete Carroll for his decision to go for it on 4th and 2 from the Texas 45 with 2:13 to go and a 5-point lead is just wrong. That was absolutely the right call. In fact, it was a no-brainer. If you've watched even a single USC game for the past 3 years, you knew they were going for it. It's who they are. It's what they do, and it was the right decision. It was even the right play call. The Trojans needed 2 yards to lock up their 3rd title in a row. Lendell White had been getting to the linebackers all night long untouched. Of course you go. kick it and make Vince Young go another 20 yards to stab you in the heart, so what? It's not like he wasn't going to do it. They hadn't stopped the guy all night long, and they weren't about to right then either. If you want to criticize Carroll for anything, wrap him for burning that last time out before Texas went for that two-point conversion. Now, that was a big mistake. Your defense hadn't made a single play the entire second half. They could have had that whole month leading up to the game to get ready for that second or that two-point conversion, and they still weren't going to stop it. Save your timeout. It was much more valuable. Oh, and speaking of huge mistakes, exactly what was Heisman Trophy winner and the second coming of Gale Sayers, Reggie Bush, doing, looking to lateral at the end of a big play in the second quarter last night? Straight up bonehead and totally out of character. The Trojans don't do that. That's not even what he's about. Where did that come from? And make no mistake, that was potentially game-changing and a crushing turnover for SC. The Horns were really scuffling at the time. They had not settled in. The Trojans were up a touchdown and on the verge of making it 2 and looking to land an early knockout punch, and Bush let them back in the game. That was just a case of a guy trying to do way too much, and he should have known better. He's a very heady guy who made a very foolish decision. It may have been out of character, but that guy can't make that mistake in that game.